But first off, just thank you all for being here. Welcome to Satsang. Um, I always appreciate the fact that people, give up an hour or so of their Sunday to ponder the infinite. It's the most significant thing we uh, can do. It's it's the most important thing you can do in the human kingdom, to ponder your own nature, to truly understand your own nature. Hello, Jane from the UK. Hello, Chrissy from New Zealand. How are you tonight? I guess it's morning there. Yeah, big difference in time. And many of you know who signed up for one of my classes. I had just one technical disaster after another, to the point where I actually had to do the same class 4 times. 2 times I did it live, um, and it was a technical mess. I re-recorded it, and even the record just by myself, and it ended up being a technical mess. I put it up there and it was blank and no sound. It was like it was really quite a shock. So I did it a fourth time, and this fourth time it worked, and it just kind of made me ponder when things go wrong. I've had emails fail. I've had bad uh, links in emails. Um, and I think the universe is trying to tell me something. I think God is trying to tell me something. Barbara from Sweden, hi, and M Litz from Baltimore, hello, hello, hello. I'm actually in Seattle today, so it's only 1 o'clock in the afternoon here. Some of you may notice that where I'm sitting is not where I normally sit. This is my son's office in his home, where I'm doing this from. So, sometimes when things go wrong, we just kind of have to be, uh, well, first off, we always have to give ourselves permission to just feel whatever it is we happen to be feeling. We have to allow ourselves to experience fully all of the reactions of our nervous system to what we're experiencing. If you fight that, of course, you put yourself in a state of resistance and suppression, and no progress will be made. Right? Progress happens for the human being when what we come to see in our vision, and sometimes in our hearts, runs in to the reality of our everyday life, for lack of a better word. It's not actually the reality, but the experience of our everyday life. And it shouldn't come to as a shock to us that these things happen. If you in your heart are seeking to grow, are you seeking to develop, you're seeking to expand, to evolve, it means you're going to be moving from the position you're in, which is a nice, sound, stable position, into a position you haven't been in before. You are consciously changing your environment. Now, this is deeply significant, because in the past, when you were young, you had no control over your environment whatsoever. It all happened to you. It's still the same with animals and other critters that are non-human neighbors, as far as we know. Um, they are only responding to the environment. They're not actively able to control or change their own environment. We can. Of course, we have to learn how to do it intelligently, or we get what we have going on in the world right now, which is not very smart the way we're doing it. But let's look at it more individually, as just you bumping into the moment you get a vision as to where you want your life to go. You've already taken a step out of the life that you're in, and you can't take a step. You can't make a progressive step without that happening first, right? We have to have some kind of idea in the direction we want to head. Some desire has to arise within us that moves us in a particular direction. The moment that motion starts, things are going to happen in the environment that are going to resist it. Remember that the nervous system is a stability-seeking machine. That's what it wants. It wants to stay safe, which means it wants everything to remain the same. And you can notice that that is right at its core a deep conflict. This desire, remain the same, don't change, everything's fine, don't rock the boat. Let's stay safe. It's safe now. We don't know if it's going to be safe anywhere else. Stay right here. That's in a direct conflict with this desire to grow and expand, isn't it? I mean, just look at it in your own life. Every progressive step you make is going to require a shift in your environment, sometimes a dramatic one. I mean, everybody wants to have more money flowing into their life. But what happens when more money flows into your life? The choices you make are different. The decisions you make are different. The people you hang out can be different. I mean, all sorts of things. An entirely new environment would happen. And this is what is so confusing to people. Now, I have been desiring, and desire has arisen in me. And as you know, you may know, I don't consider desires to be something we create. They happen. They're as natural as breathing, blinking. They're innate to the human being. You cannot help but give birth to desires. They happen. They are innate in us. So when a desire arises, every desire is a desire of life to expand. Specifically in your life, to expand your life, your individual manifestation, your individual experience of life. That's why it's there. It has already taken a step ahead to the next level. Now, since you don't really create them, you're not really responsible for them. Nonetheless, you can't deny them. When you have a desire for something, you can't deny it. And so now you've got this incredibly powerful urge to go forward and this incredible inertia wanting to stay the way it is. Now, I gave birth to desire, the expansion of MasterHEART, of my teaching, of my message, of my classes. And I say it's a new one because it's the kind of a vision for bigger than I had envisioned before. You know, something arose me that said this just has to go to another level. That the message is significant enough that it should. And personally, wanting to have some more freedom, not being as tied to this business as I am, because I do so much myself. And a few things came up, and a few opportunities began to come up. Some people invited me to be a part of the telesummit, which actually expanded the business, and some other opportunities popped up as well. So on one side, there was the energy beginning to expand. But in order for that energy to expand, I have to expand into it, which means some of the places my energy is going had to go away, had to drop. One of the areas that it has to drop that has become crystal clear to me is my participating in doing the technology, just consistently messing up the emails. We had emails going out, the same email going out twice, like a few minutes from each other. The link's not working, they hadn't been edited for typos and that sort of thing. And then on top of it, the technology platform that I had adopted that didn't work, and all the other things. I finally got the message that says, gee, this is not where your efforts should go. This is not where any of your focus should go. Now, the reason I'm pointing this out to you is because I want you all to take the same kind of contemplative approach to your own life. Sometimes the things that are blocking us in our lives are just old traumas, old wounds, old stuff. Some things are very easy to just kind of, that's not really true, and let go. Actually, all of it is. But sometimes we have to be a little bit more patient and be a little bit more close into ourselves and be more self-accepting in order for that energy to get to the point where you can just simply take the next step and experience an inner reconciliation. Sometimes there's a lesson. Sometimes your own desire to expand is running in to the fact that your life has organized itself in a particular way, right? And of course it is. You know, you get to a new level, there's always a stabilizing you have. Nobody wants to be in constant flux. Nobody wants everything to always be changing. Yeah, we want it to change, then we want it to be nice for a while. You know, I get the new car, that's cool. I'm driving my new car, I'm really enjoying it. And after a while, a couple of years, sometimes longer, I don't like this car anymore, I want another car. Expansion takes place again. This is the nature of things. And so we have to be willing to grow into whoever we need to be in order to be equal to our own vision of what's possible. And I wanted to bring that up because it became really, really clear to me that there are some things that I absolutely must let go of if I'm going to realize the desire that has arisen in me. And since it is a desire that has simply arisen, that I didn't create it, there's no way I can get rid of it. I have no choice but to surrender to it. I have no choice but to let it take me to wherever it is. It's destined to take. And in the beginning, you don't always know. And that's, our minds want to know. The part of you that really loves everything stable, go, all right, I'll change, but tell me exactly where I'm going and what I'm going to find when I get there. And of course, you don't know. How many things have you set out to do in your life and you thought, oh, this is going to be really great. And what ends up bears no resemblance whatsoever. Think of your desires, the things that arise, that impulse to move forward and grow. Think of it like a seed that's been planted in the ground, and you don't know what kind of plant it is. Could be a tree, could be a bush, could be a fruit, right? Could be a berry, could be a rose, could be a weed. You don't know. You have no idea what it is. And you can't tell from looking at it because no seed grows into a 10-foot seed, right? The same seed just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, right? That doesn't happen. It's something else emerges from the seed. And in the beginning, it's underground. It's dark, it's moist. There's, no contact with it whatsoever. It's just germinating until finally a little thing sticks its head up and you begin to get some sense of what it might be, but you still don't know. Right? That kind of mystery about life and about who you are, because what desires do is they reveal who you are. It's not just what you're going to get. It's a revelation of who you are, because remember, every desire is leading you to become something other than what you are right now, to expand beyond where you thought you could go. And of course, if you really look at it, you find that expansion is always happening. After one desire, there's another. After that, there's another. And after there's another, you realize that there's no end to it. And that what you're really doing is not becoming something else, but who you are, the infinite nature of who you are, is simply expressing itself in some new form. And there's never going to be an end to the forms. There's never going to be an exhausting of the potential of who you are. So the who that you are is always expressing it in how you appear and what you're becoming, always. And it's always happening simultaneously. There's no such thing as static. You're always stable in a place and at the same time becoming something else. Don't give this to your mind to figure it out, because it can't handle it. It can't do that. It can't stand up and sit down at the same time. But beingness can. It can very easily do that. It can be that and that. It can also at the same time be neither that or that, and it can be both that or that and be something else completely. The true nature of your being is quite capable of all of that. So I am ready Jill says, probably telling you need to hire an assistant. Yes, Jill, you're absolutely right. I'm actually reorganizing things now to figure out what is it that I really need to do and what is it that I need to let go of. Technology, definitely. But there are other things too. Uh, in my person, if this is helpful to any of you to know what I did, I mean, I just looked at everything that had to get done in order for this business to work. And I said, what can I do? What can I do well, and what will I mess up? What will I screw up if I continue to do it? And it became really clear. There's things I can do and things I can't. Not only can't, don't want to, right? So yes, yeah, I'm looking very long and hard now at just having a completely different thing begin to manifest for MasterHEART Institute and myself, and of course by extension all of you, everybody who looks to me and looks to MasterHEART to provide, spiritual solace, spiritual nourishment, and to be here and to show up and be able to do this and to do it in such a way that there's good money coming into the business, and I can continue to keep prices low and provide free things like satsang. So which reminds me, by the way, thank you all of you who have donated on Patreon or Patreon, whatever it is. um, I'm deeply appreciative of it. I actually had quite a few more than I expected. It happened very quickly, and so please, even hit my first goal, right? And so I'll be doing a special satsang for the people who have done it, a private one, a very small group, where I will get on Zoom so we can actually talk as well, and not just chat. So if any of you are uh, feeling the impulse to help me any amount, a buck, is appreciated. Just go to patreon.com, which is what patreon.com/GP Walsh. I guess I'll put it in here so you can see it. Patreon. Make sure on.com/GP Walsh. Did I get that right? Yes. Yeah. And that will, and any amount is appreciated. And if you can't, fine, that's fine as well. Right. I mean, that's why I'm doing this. I'm just asking for help because it's quite a bit of work to make this all happen. So anyway, we're open for question. Claysu says, you were really lovingly wonderful on Darius's show this week. Oh, thank you, Claysu. Claysu? Not sure how to pronounce it, but thank you. That's really means a lot. I was very, very happy. It was really wonderful working with Darius. Those of you who don't know about the uwealthrevolution.com, that's Darius Baranzeta. And just this wonderful guy. It's like one of the most successful telesummits ever. This is season 15 that I got to be a part of, and he really puts on a great, very heartfelt thing. So Claysu also asks, been crying for 2 months, good at emotional processing, but the clearer and stronger the energy of freedom gets in my life, the more I cry. I'm sick of crying. Don't get sick of crying. Matter of fact, don't even entertain the thought, I'm sick of crying, because notice that's a very subtle form of resistance, right? Yes, the more the desire for freedom grows, the more the suppression is going to become apparent. The more you can see how your life has been compressed by that tribal drive towards safety that has simply not allowed freedom to speak. You've got to let it grow, because there's a point at which the desire for freedom pushes past the desire for safety, and that's when magic starts to happen. So you have to be with that energy of that desire for freedom, right? Now, when a desire comes up, and we've had this habitual sense of of lack and containment and judgment and all the stuff about our desires, there's the coming up of a desire can actually feel painful. It can feel like suffering, right? Because we can't see any way of realizing it. what I constantly ask to do is say, forget about how it's going to happen. Forget about whether it meets anything that you're aware of. Forget that you can see any way in which it could happen whatsoever, and even a remote possibility, and just let it happen. You didn't create that desire any more than you created the color of your eyes, or the, or the how tall you were, or your gender. You didn't create it. It is emerging right out of the heart of you, and your only job is to give it the space to grow. And yes, there'll be some resistance to it. Don't fight the resistance. Don't push the resistance away, but don't listen to it when it says, oh, I'm sick of crying. All it's asking you to do is to stop feeling the drive to freedom. And you can't do that. You're not going to compromise that. So you don't push the sense of safety or that resistance away. You just say, you're allowed to be here, you're allowed to resist, but I'm also not going to deny the reality of this feeling of freedom I have. And be willing to be with both. They will eventually reconcile. I guarantee it. But that presence with both is absolutely critical. You need to let the desire grow. You need to let that little seed grow and protect it, to let it grow into its full bloom, and it will. And the more you know how to reconcile between the two, the more open and allowing you are of both, the easier that's going to be, and to the point where it can be absolutely without suffering. Every desire is just an opportunity to grow, which will always engender some kind of resistance, because the system wants to remain where it is, not because it wants to keep you stuck, but because it knows where it is now, it can keep you safe, right? So you have to give it an opportunity to expand, so that that feeling that you can be both safe and free simultaneously begins to sink in. And instead of fighting one, or resisting the other, or taking a side of one and pushing the other away, you simply don't take sides. You let them both grow. And in that process of both growing, a new kind of equilibrium gets established, where you have a bigger, the platform of safety is bigger, and it can support more. So you're not going to have freedom at the expense of safety. You're going to find safety is actually supporting the new level of freedom, and that's how real, genuine, holistic growth takes place. Let's see, Buddha's Brain, and thank you again for Darius' show. I really loved doing it. It was great. Buddha's Brain. What is required? Oh, just as I started reading it, it slipped back. It slipped off the screen, scrolled off the screen. What is required to master being and becoming simultaneously in life? It's a beautiful question. You don't have to master it like like an act of will. It isn't something that you do. Well, it's not like, okay, I'm going to practice this, like practicing a mantra, or a technique, or practicing an instrument, or something. What it means is that you harmonize with the natural energy of life. Being and becoming are the nature of life. It's the weirdest thing. I mean, in the first chapter of the Bible, it says that the seed is within itself, which is a mystical statement when you really look at it. How can the seed be within itself? Well, it is. The seed is the seed, right? And you look in, there's a seed. And if you take the seed apart, you don't find little seeds in there, and you don't find a plant somewhere in there, right? There's just the seed. And yet the seed, even though it's complete and whole as a seed, is in fact becoming a plant, which, even though it becomes a full plant, then becomes a seed. This is the nature of life itself. To master it, you harmonize with it. You don't master the Tao. You don't master the truth. You harmonize with it. You begin to flow with it. You present no resistance to it. And you deepen your understanding of it, so that it gets to the point where nothing that happens seems untoward to you. Nothing seems out of whack. Nothing seems out of step. Everything, you're witnessing life as it's unfolding. And the end result is that you have this wonderful feeling of being, which is just absolutely unmoving, changeless, timeless, birthless, and deathless, and simultaneously this explosion of growth and evolution of life. It's like you're just, it's kind of like you're the, imagine some really great piece of music you've listened to, and you hear this theme. I mean, one of the greatest examples of all time is Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. Four notes, da 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 da. He took those four notes through every possible combination you could imagine, and it was identifiable as da 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 dum, da 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 dum, da 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 dum, da 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 dum, da 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 dum. I mean, every possible key, every possible variation of four notes. I mean, it's brilliant. It's one of the most brilliant pieces of music ever written. And so you took this one thing, and all of a sudden it got expressed in a gazillion different ways. That's you, my friend. You are this one infinite, indescribable, unknowable, not no thing that is expressing itself constantly in an infinite number of ways. And now you see that you are seeing that you are being and becoming at the same time. It's not something you have to do, it's what you are. It is what is happening. You're seeing things as it's always been. So you don't have to master it in the sense of, I'm not doing it and now I am. The mastery is seeing that, my God, this is the way things have always been. And now I'm seeing it. And in my seeing it, I harmonize with it. And I harmonize with it, I become one with it, realized not just as the truth that for potential, I realize it as my personal realization. Richard asks, hi, GP, late as usual. Well, good. Hope all is well with your sister. Also have one in Seattle. Yes, a lot of people have asked about, yeah, my sister is very important in my life. She was kind of the buffer, the one place in my life that I could go when I was a kid where there was a little bit of solace, because my childhood is so messed up. And she took a fall and hurt herself. First time in her life she's been incapacitated. I mean, this is a woman who's hiked both the Appalachian Trail and the John Muir Trail, all like 2,000 miles of it. And now for the first time in her life, she's laid up in bed, and it's been a little bit tough on her. So I was glad to come out here and hang out with her. So thank you very much for asking. Jason says, hi, G. I'm up here in North Carolina this week. Thrilled to be here. Thank you. Great to have you. Poppy is here. Hey, GP and guys. Bring the likes of guys. Thumbs up the live stream video now. Oh, great. Chrissy says, I'm actually in France to help with my grandchildren for a couple of months. An incredible opportunity for my growth, finding myself able to flow more and more. Fantastic. Excellent. Also says, thank you for sharing your own journey into change for the beautiful and powerful wealth class and interview on eWealth. Oh, thank you very much for that. Yeah, the wealth class that was the class I was doing on unconditional wealth, that had all of the just one failure after another. It was very, 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 very funny. More questions, guys. Thank you all for checking in, but let's have some questions here. Let's what do you need? What do you need to experience the infinite freedom right now? Not 15 minutes from now, not a year from now, not after you've attained enlightenment. What stands in the way of you and freedom right this moment? Ponder this, please. Because you see, if enlightenment is real, that is true, really true, it doesn't have a beginning. It can't. Because if it has a beginning, it also has an end. It means that there was a time when it wasn't possible, but conditions were such that now it is possible, right? Which means conditions can change and it could become impossible again. So if the ultimate freedom, the ultimate awakening, is right this moment, then what do you need? 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 What do you need cannot be something that happens. It's not something you do. It's not something you get. Right? Then what is standing in the way of you realizing that right this minute? What do you think is standing in the way? And if you want to just throw comments out there, I'd love to hear what people say. Yes, I am going to shoot them all down, but that doesn't matter, right? Don't hold back on something because, oh, geez, going to tell me this isn't really true. It's okay. If it's there, I want to actually have the opportunity to take it out of you and not just, let you say, I don't want to reveal that. Reveal it. Bring it up there. Buddha's brain says, not realizing when I'm resisting, not being aware of the subtle ways resistance controls me. Okay. If it's true, if what I'm saying is true, then not realizing when I'm resisting. Okay. There's two things there, very important. I am resisting. Are you always resisting? Of course not, because you say not realizing when I am, which means there are times when you are not. Now, pay attention to what it is that is aware both of the resisting and of the flowing when you're not resisting. You say not being aware of the subtle ways resistance controls me, right? Which means sometimes you are aware and then sometimes you're not aware. Something is aware of when you are both not aware and aware. Is that not so? Now, what's that? And this is really important. Because whatever it is that is aware of resisting and not resisting is clearly not resisting anything. It's not resisting resisting. It's quite open and spacious. It doesn't even resist the resistance that you don't want. As a matter of fact, in order to even be aware of resistance, it's already you've become aware of it. So the awareness that recognizes resistance or not resistance isn't resisting anything. Now, what's the closest to you? The resistance, the absence of the resistance, or that which is aware of both? Look closely. Which one's always there? Which one never ceases? Which has to be there in order for there to be any awareness of resistance or the absence of resistance, that which is coming and going. Now, is that in any resistance whatsoever? Now, so seeing that's who you actually are, is the presence or absence of resistance any obstacle whatsoever to you knowing who you are? No, it's not. That's enlightenment. That's awakening. Seeing that which can't be touched by what it sees, is unaffected by what it experiences. Is that ever hindered by anything? Is it ever not true? Do you have to make it true? Are you following this? We only say, I'm not real. Don't realize when I'm resisting, and I'm not aware of the subtle ways that I resist. Right? You're only saying that because you're identifying with the resisting instead of that which is seeing the resisting. That which is seeing the resisting isn't resisting anything. This is the key. So it doesn't matter whether resistance is present or not. And to recognize that has the most mystical and mysterious effect. It makes the resistance you're experiencing diminish because there's nothing to support it. And what you experience reflects more and more the reality of who you are, which is resistanceless, totally open, spacious. Ponder that. Johanna says, forgiveness is standing in the way. Okay. So what is this horrible offense that you've committed? You don't have to announce it here publicly, right? That you have not forgiven yourself for, that is standing in the way of recognizing who you actually are. What is this offense? What is it that you did that was so terrible? Now, whatever it was, was there anything about what you did that was inherently evil, or was it condemned by something, the thing that you actually did? Was it this horribly heinous thing that you did that you really need to be punished for? What if whatever it was inevitable that you did it? What if the causes and the conditions and everything were such that there's no way in the world you couldn't do it? That it was just, you pushed the rock started rolling down the hill and there was no way you could stop it. If you weren't responsible for it, but in fact were just receiving the brunt of it, would you still require forgiveness? The original meaning of the word forgiveness, as Christ used it, means to be found not guilty, to be vindicated of wrongdoing. That's what forgiveness is. How do we find our original innocence? So innocent that there's nothing that needs to be forgiven. Well, I can tell you, every action that you have ever taken has been the result of, not of you, but of conditioning. And every single one of those actions was the nervous system, however distorted and extreme it might be, was the nervous system simply trying to protect itself. Sometimes it can do really crazy, ugly, violent, brutal things. It can become deceptive, manipulative. It can be all the characteristics that we hate, none of which belong to you, all of which belong to the conditioning. If you are no longer identified with your conditioning, you begin to feel your innate original innocence. You started out innocent, didn't you? Every child does. At what point did we lose it? Never. The energy system is so smart that it creates an entire layers upon layers of behavior to insulate you from the environment, to keep the environment from corrupting your innocence. And it does it so well, it forgets it even did it. And actually believes that this imaginary person that it's created is who you actually are. It's not. That person is limited, full of foibles, not honest, born in sin, actually, because there's nobody really there. It is an imaginary sense of self projected upon a bunch of conditioned responses, all of which are reacting in the name of safety to the environment in which they appear. You have never done anything wrong. You have never been anything other than the pure, innocent, divine child. This is forgiveness. And once again, it gets back to what I was just saying to Buddha's brain. At the essence of that innocence is the pure reality of who you actually are. That again is enlightenment. There's nothing to forgive, and there is no one to forgive. There's only the reality of the truth of your being, which is pure, innocent, pristine, beautiful, expressive. That's who you really are. Puppy, senses are mistaken for reality because you live with the senses. That's very good. Yes, mistaking but let me take it one step further. Mistaking the evidence of your senses and your senses for reality, which means you mistake them for yourself. You believe that what you are perceiving is who you are, rather than the one doing the perceiving. And so you look in the mirror and you say, well, that's me. Well, no, it isn't. It's an image of you. As a matter of fact, the image you all hold in your heads of yourself, I say to picture yourself. The image you have in mind isn't the image you ever seen. It's what you look like from a few feet away, maybe 5, 10 feet away, or what you look like when you stand in the mirror. And you get closer to the mirror, and it gets bigger. You've never actually seen yourself. You have no direct experience of seeing yourself. You've only had the experience of being the seeing. Seeing you know well. Seeing is undeniable. So put aside every image that you hold of yourself, because none of them you've actually seen. And what have you actually experienced of yourself? What we call the senses are mistaken for reality because we believe that that's who we are. And yet, I could describe you all day long, but all I could do is describe you from here, from 5 feet away, 2 feet away, even very close, But I can't describe you from where you are. Only you can do that. So the experiences, the senses are simply what we experience. When you see that you are the seeing and not what is seen, you realize that what is seen isn't the reality. It's just an image in the mind. It's a perception. It's a projection. And yes, we live with these images all the time. They're always there. They're part of us, right? I mean, consciousness is always conscious of something, right? Thoughts, she adds, thoughts also feel like it's you. No, it's not. That's quite right. The thought is that it feels like you, but it just is a feeling, right? What I want you to do is to return that word you or I to the one having the feeling rather than the feeling itself, which puts the thought away that says that thought feels like me. No. How do you feel? Without any thought, without a sensation or a feeling or anything, would you feel like just you? Not something being felt, but just you. This is a good time to ask the question, what does the inside of your mouth taste like? It's just empty. The feeling of being you is not a sensation, is it? That which is seeing, that which is having the feelings, seeing the thoughts, recognizing the sensations, that is you. And to recognize that that's you is awakening. Simple as that. Now, the habit of thought to constantly want to identify with what it sees needs to be recognized as simply a habit. It's never been true. You've never been anything other than the one seeing. Not for 1 minute did you actually become anything that you identified with. But the process, the act of identifying makes it feel as if we do. So the thought is there. I am this person. I'm contained here and I was born here and I'm this age and I got these characteristics. I have these limits and life is good, life is bad, blah, blah, blah. All of those thoughts believed to be true make you feel as if they're true. That's the nature of consciousness. It's that sensitive. So it feels self-confirming, and then we think, oh my God, I'm all this constricted and I'm narrowed and I'm really constrained. I want to be liberated, right? Not realizing that you already are liberated. None of those things have ever actually been you. You've never actually been contained. You've only believed yourself to be. So I invite you to not, to simply see those thoughts for what they are, just a thought, nothing more. And just because the thought presents itself, even presents itself with great authority, even presents itself, as somebody with a lot of letters after their name, don't buy it. The best salesman in the world can't sell you if you won't buy. Don't buy it. Really, listen to me closely. You are the original innocence. You have been convinced to think of yourself otherwise. But that doesn't change the fact that that's what you are. It doesn't change the fact of it. Please grasp that. The truth can never be lost. It's not like you fell and have to regain it. You're suffering from the illusion of the fall. You never actually fell. You never actually left the garden. Richard asks, how about some more on the need and search for a teacher? Is the lack of one an impediment? Yes, for the most part. I do believe that in everybody's experience, a teacher shows up. It can be at times the teacher can be a book. It can be, a YouTube video on YouTube. It can be, something that you've heard. It can be a direct insight. It can be a voice inside that's guiding you, which is what it always is, actually. But and I wouldn't say that it's necessarily an impediment if you don't have one. I don't want to lay all that on it. But to have someone that you're in a relationship with, even if it's, it doesn't have to be a close thing. It's not like, sitting at their feet every day. Nisargadatta, I think he had like 1 or 2 meetings with his teacher. And that was it. He just did what he said. He did exactly what the teacher told him to do. But to have access to somebody who can engage with you and find, find the where the illusions are, find where you're believing things that aren't true, is obviously the fastest way to do it. And now the arts are taught in universities and schools like that, which is fine. But the way art used to be taught is that the youngster, when they were identified as having a talent, they went and lived with the master. They apprenticed with the master. And they did mixed paints, or, or made copies of the manuscripts, or whatever they needed to do. And it was this constant transmission that took place. Obviously, it's not practical. We can't really do it that way anymore. In some cultures, they do. Kids very young age go off into a Buddhist monastery or a Brahmin monastery or something like that. It does happen, but not in this culture. Certainly not in the West. What it becomes is your desire to know the truth, your desire to wake up. Right? That's the impulse to search. Just feed the desire. Right? Recognize that there's always the possibility for self-deception, right? Without the teacher taking some form, the possibility of us interpreting truth from our pre-existing point of view, it remains. Right? The ultimate, they refer to it as the Sadguru or the Satguru in I've seen both SAD or SAT in the Sanskrit, and it means the teacher within. It means the guru. It means the truth within you. That's the ultimate teacher. Sometimes that inner teacher takes the form of a book or a comment or an insight or something. It takes the form of a guru, of somebody who stands there. Takes the form of somebody who's engages with you on some level, like it is right now. Right now, the truth within you is taking the form of me. Right, and when this is over, it'll take a different form, and it could be some teacher that becomes kind of a permanent fixture, maybe even the last one you ever need. Right, so you're never without the inner guru, never for one moment. It is always guiding you, and that inner guru is simply another word, another term for the sense that I keep pointing you back to, which is that sense of being that's aware of everything else. That is the inner guru. That's what's calling you back home. It's calling you back to the place that you've never left. It's calling you back to the place from which everything is being seen. It's just taking you and turning you around, and you find that the inner guru is your true self, that you've simply been calling yourself. Because you didn't realize yourself, it got projected on teachers and books and all sorts of things like that. But it's never been any of those things. It's always been the truth of your own being. That's what it's always been from the get-go. That is the real Sat Guru. Chrissy asks, the density of my beliefs, the intensity of them, can't my finger on them when I want to. That's good. The fact you can't put your finger on it means that they've just become feelings. They aren't really beliefs anymore. They're more energetic patterns. They don't have behind them the same kind of conviction. They don't have the same story to support them. And as the story dissipates, you'll find that the feelings in the body dissipate later. So remember, it was the feelings of being threatened, of being in danger, of not being accepted or loved, that is what the nervous system originally responded to, that began to create the patterns of behavior. Long before you could speak, the storyteller in us, the part of us that actually created a narrative and a sense of identity, came much later. Right? So even as the story dissipates, you may have all these feelings come up and not be able to put your finger on it because you don't have a story for them anymore. Just keep going. Just be with those feelings. You don't even care where they came from. You don't care anything about them at all, other than to just love yourself and your openness as and let these feelings kind of move through the system. Just remember who you are. They will eventually reorganize themselves around the truth of your being, and you will not need to worry about this anymore. You will not be the least bit concerned with this anymore. The gang says hello from California. Hello, the gang. Thank you very much. And yet aware of that all, says Chrissy. Yes, and that awareness is what you are. It's that simple. That awareness is what you are. That is the truth. Everything else is simply made up, is simply a projection of the mind. That awareness is all that actually is. Johanna, I don't really want to let go of the illusion of isolation. I don't really want to let go of the illusion of isolation. Well, then hold on to it. But the problem is you've already let go of it because you're seeing it as an illusion. It's too late. Now look at it more closely. And instead of saying, I don't want to let go of the illusion of isolation, look at the feeling that's there that you really do like, and see if it really is the illusion of isolation that you're enjoying, or if it's just a sense of your own private space. You don't have to give up a sense of your private space. But that's the illusion of isolation is a story. It's an idea we've projected upon something that's just a feeling. Be really clear about what it is you don't want to let go of, and you'll find some kind of pleasure, some kind of happiness, some kind of joy, some kind of relationship, and you don't have to let go of it. And then realize how the mind has spun an image that's somehow that's the illusion of isolation. Believe me, if that illusion was creating suffering, you'd be really happy to let go of it. So look closely for what it is you're getting from it, and you'll find that what you're getting from it is neither an illusion nor an isolation, and is actually quite fulfilling. And you don't have to let go of anything that's fulfilling. The only thing you need to let go of is our misperceptions of what is. We don't have to let go of anything. This is not, taking the path of celibacy or poverty or anything, or self-denial. This is not a path of renunciation. The only thing gets renounced is the false idea of who you are and what's being experienced. Everything else is real. Everything else is the nature of experience. The only thing we have to let go of is our belief about the one we think who's having the experience. You are not a limited mortal. That's it. That's all you have to let go of. Oh, I'm an unlimited divine being. I am the unlimited divine being, which means everything I'm experiencing is absolutely real. It's only my sense of self as being finite that isn't real. And you can just let go. That's the only illusion. I hope that captures it for you. Chrissy says, that awareness is holding all that I perceive, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, that awareness is holding all that I perceive. That awareness is the I that is perceiving. Right? Is there another awareness that's aware of that awareness? Is there something perceiving? Everything appears within your awareness, doesn't it? Are you aware of anything outside of your awareness? So we imagine that awareness is bounded, that awareness is bound by the senses. And even while we're doing that, our senses are constantly changing. Things are constantly changing. Right? So if we were really bound, there could be there'd be a sense of it being finite, and things would actually kind of get stuck in place. But the fact that things are constantly flowing all the time indicates that there doesn't seem to be any boundary on awareness. You can be aware of anything. It's even all the experiences that we attribute to the senses are happening within it. Removing all the content from it, see if you can find any boundary to awareness whatsoever. And you'll see it. It's even more than holding it. It is it. What I perceive and me perceiving it are not two. Let's see. Oh God, look at this. Okay, Buddha's brain says, got it. Very clear. Thank you. Yeah, you're very welcome. Himank Kumar, did I pronounce that correct? Hi GP, I've been watching your videos for a long time, and your views have given my belief in attraction and depth more depth and gravitas. I'm currently enjoying my life to the full extent, but and positivity, more depth in the first comment. And where's the but? It says but. Well, good then. If there's no but, if you have a but, maybe let me just scroll all the way down. No, can't find a but. Okay, maybe there's no but. That'd be great. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, for some reason it skipped. Yeah, me and technology. But I lack a clear path and direction in my life. I am very aimless and feel this lack of a goal is eating me up. Can you advise on how to discover my purpose? Okay. First off, you don't have to discover your purpose because you are your purpose, right? Purpose is not something you do. It is also what you are. Right? The particular form your body has, this body has taken, this, this sense of identity, all of the piece parts that make us up, our likes, our dislikes, our attributes, our characteristics, our gifts, our talents, our gender, our race, everything is the fulfillment of the purpose, which is your very being. You only have one purpose, and that is to express who you are. That's it. Now, you say you're currently enjoying your life to full extent, but you lack a clear path and direction in your life. Is there any path to life other than enjoying it to the fullest? I mean, I know a whole lot of people would love to change places with you that have said, oh yeah, I know what I'm supposed to be doing, but man, I'm not really enjoying myself. What is there beyond enjoying your life to the fullest? Where's the charge there that says that there's something missing from that? You should be doing something else. There's some other noble purpose. I don't know what my purpose is. If you're enjoying your life, you're fulfilling your purpose. That is the purpose of life. To quote Rumi, the soul is here for its own pleasure, for its own delight. It's not here to serve some purpose outside of itself. Now, do you have a desire to share this enjoyment? Well, then you've got some more to work with there. Right? When you get to this place of contentment, and it's very common amongst the spiritual people, you get that sense of freedom. It's like, oh, it's just okay. I don't really have to do anything. The mind freaks out. What do you mean you don't have to do? I got to do something. I mean, we got to do this stuff. Just can't wander. You have no purpose. You have no. You don't have a path. You don't have any direction. What are you doing? And of course, there'll be plenty of people around you to reinforce that, to tell you, oh, what do you mean you're just? What are you doing? "Oh, nothing. What do you mean you're doing nothing? "Oh, just being happy. Just being happy. How? What? What's the matter with you? Come on. What are you doing? You got to do something. No, you don't. And it's only because you're not used to it. Just being happy feels so uncomfortable. Happiness is always supposed to be at the end of some, long process, that to just feel it. Now you don't need all that process. It's just the weight of habit and everybody's idea of how it's supposed to go that's eating you up. Nothing's eating you up. You're enjoying your life. Out of that enjoyment, action will take place. Out of that, purpose will be expressed. Let it come from there, not be something added onto it from the outside, because that will always be serving somebody else's interest, not yours. And don't be afraid of it feeling like there's a void. That's what infinity feels like. Just emptiness. peace, stillness. But that emptiness gives birth to everything. Let it unfold itself to do whatever it is you're going to do with this life. You don't have to find it. It's found you. Share your joy. Share your enjoyment. Share your bliss. What better thing could you share with the world? Thanks. Hi, Monk. Hi, Monk. Is it 8 I have my glasses. I can't tell. Oh, here they are. Let's see. Hi, Monk. Yeah, hi, Monk. Hope I pronounce it correct. Again, forgive me if I butchered your name. Keith says, I believe there's two types of thinking, mine and theirs. and of course, mine's right? And only mine matters because I will never get everyone to agree with me. Is that right? Yeah, it's absolutely true. The only thing you have to be concerned about is your thinking, because the reality is you have no idea what they're thinking. Whatever you think they're thinking is just what you're thinking about what they're thinking, right? So the whole thing's taking place within your own mind, and that's the only thing that matters. You don't know what anybody's thinking. It's just a perception, right? And the first bodhisattva practice is becoming adept at distinguishing the perceptions of your own mind. You do not know what anyone else is thinking. You only get an image of what you think they're thinking, and then we judge that, which is a great way to project, oh, we shouldn't be thinking like that, which is really saying I shouldn't be thinking like that, but I want to because whatever. You only need to concern yourself with your own thoughts. It is only your own thoughts that will mold your perception and give you the experience of freedom or suffering. That's it. It's all you have to worry about. So there aren't two types of thinking at all, Keith. There's only one, and that's yours. That's it. The thoughts that are occurring to you. That's all you have to deal with. And it's actually very liberating. And in fact, when you really get adept at it, it's even healing, because you can now see that you completely liberate everybody from your ideas about them. Then you get to experience people as they really are. And believe me, everybody who comes in contact with you will feel that sense of freedom, because you're not holding them according to any pattern. You really have set them free. That's really powerful. It's a gift of liberation you give to others by simply going, I have no idea, and just letting them show up. Deeply satisfying. SS writes, is there any purpose in life? The person always feels like it needs something to look for to gain satisfaction or worth, always seeking. Yeah, exactly. The person does need to gain something, the knowledge that they don't exist. The person isn't who we are. It's a thought, and it's limited. Right? So if I believe that this is who I am, I'm going to feel that limit. And of course, I'm going to recognize that I feel it as a limit, because I'm not actually limited, and it feels uncomfortable. It feels like I've just put on a pair of shoes that's 2 sizes too small, and I'm wondering why. Because you are infinite, anytime you put a limit on yourself, it's going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to feel, the example I love to use is the whale in the swimming pool. Can't put a whale in a swimming pool and expect it to be happy. It wants to swim thousands of miles. It can't contain you. It can't take you and compress you into this idea of being a person and expect you to be happy. The fact that you're not happy with it is the best sign. it is the perfect sign. It's like, it means you know that it's wrong, right? That, most critters you program into a certain behavior. They don't have the freedom of choice, but they don't have any conflict about it. The dog doesn't care. If you every time you say speak, it speaks, or roll over, it rolls over, or fetch, it fetches. It has no conflict with you. You do, because you don't want to be contained. Your nature is infinite freedom. So one of the things that that limited sense of self does in order to try to make itself feel better is to find its purpose. Well, it has no purpose because it doesn't exist. And your purpose is to simply be what you are, which you can't help but do, which means you're always fulfilling your purpose. And if you want to put it in terms of spiritually seeking, your purpose is to find who you actually are, is to realize you are not that person. And that liberation, finding that liberation, is the purpose of life. That's the only purpose there is in life, is to find the liberation, at which point purpose fulfills itself. And your purpose of life is to live, which you can't help but doing. It's to be yourself, which you can't help but doing. It's to express what you are, which you can't help but doing. The realization of that is the purpose of life. That's it. The personal realization of the truth of your being. That's it. That's all there is. That's all there is to it. And it's not something you gain, it's something you realize. Hope that answers it for you, SS. GP, in deep meditation, is it better to post intention of something you want, or a question? Or a question? Is it the same? Either's fine. When in deep meditation, let's be clear what I mean by deep meditation, is a state of intentionlessness, where you're simply being present. Now, an intention can come up. I'm intending something to happen, which is is the reflection of a desire. It's fine. You don't need to judge it. You don't need to indulge it. You simply acknowledge it. There it is, and set it free. Set it free to be active within the system, and it will fulfill itself. Don't lay anything on top of it. Don't make a story about it. Don't say, is there something I have to do? Just, there it is. And give it over to exactly the same environment that you're being aware of, and you remain in deep meditation. If there's something deeper you want to see, if there's an insight, if there's a spiritual insight you want to be, that question too is, you see, notice that you're not actually posing the intention or posing a question. They are happening spontaneously. They're arising. You can't stop them. Right? So great, it's arising. Just like as you're sitting in deep meditation, your breathing is arising. Deep meditation is a complete absence of resistance to life. You are completely in the state of allowing, which means questions can come up, intentions can come up, desires can come up, and you acknowledge them as part of life, just like everything else that's coming up. When you're in meditation, the senses don't stop, thoughts don't stop. They might get quiet because they're not getting a lot of attention from you. Emotions keep going. There's the normal flow of life that includes desires and everything. In deep meditation, you simply don't follow any of them. You don't make a story about it. There's no narrative. You just with them. You allow them to be there. You acknowledge them. You embrace them. You let them be. And you remain in deep meditation, just simply present. Even phenomenal events can take place. I mean, you can have visions of God. You can leave your body. You can, all sorts of things can take place. You simply let it happen. And you remain right where you are in the deep meditation. There's a story of a sage, a female sage, became a saint in deep meditation, and she had a vision of angels that came to her, the most wonderful vision of these angels that just completely enraptured her. And she said, yes, it's enrapturing and beautiful, but I am seeing them. So that's not all there is. And she remained in her deep meditation. And she had experience of emotional bliss and ecstasy. She said, yes, but I'm experiencing that. And she even had the experience of speaking with God. And she said, yes, but I'm experiencing that. And her attention kept going back to the place from which experience was happening. And then came the awakening. What I am. So let it all happen and stay in your deep meditation. Don't need to deny it happening. Don't need to seek it to happen. It's going to happen. Life happens. And it's beautiful when it happens. Right? Stay in your deep meditation and you realize that you can stay there all the time. Papinu says, I'm at a street intersection and the thought tells me to wait till traffic goes by. Is this just a thought? And I walk in the traffic, then I suffer irreparable damage from just a thought? No, look, when I say something is just a thought, I'm not saying all thoughts are bad. I'm saying don't get rid of thoughts. Don't walk in the traffic. Okay, it's a good thought. It's a very smart thought. What I'm saying is that you are not a thought. The thoughts you hold about yourself, right, influence how you experience yourself. So now it becomes existential. It's not, thoughts are very practical. We use them all the time. I'm doing it right now, right? Everything I'm saying is a thought that I'm having. Words are forming. I'm communicating to you to get a point. So there's nothing wrong with thought. But we have to distinguish the thought of a thing from the reality of a thing. The thought of a thing is a representation. The reality of a thing is something different. When we think our thought of it is the thing, we have limited it. We have constricted it because no thought could ever possibly contain the infinite. So you can't possibly have a thought that captures you. So no thought of you can be you. Thoughts of you can give expression to you, can speak of you, but you're not any thought. And any thought you hold of yourself, any image you hold of yourself is simply not going to be big enough. Whoa. Okay, I take a few more here. Thank you all. You guys are just amazing. Absolutely amazing. Chrissy says, thank you. Richard says, thank you. So much available these days. All of Krishnamurti's talks are curated, etc. It's about identity and trusting the inner guru, I guess. Very helpful. Yeah, Krishnamurti especially, which is great. I'm actually doing a 3-day live retreat at the Krishnamurti Education Center in Canada in July. And maybe you're out that way, or maybe you want to come and be there. I'll be telling everybody about it in probably about a month. It'll all be set up on their site, and I can start telling people. It's very inexpensive retreat. I'm doing it pretty much volunteer because it is not totally nonprofit. So it's like 3-day retreat, including room and board and food, and it's only like $250. So it's a really great deal for anybody who wants to go there. And I'm really very honored to be invited to a place like that, because Krishnamurti's shadow is cast over the entire 20th century. Yeah, thank you for bringing up his name. He's truly really remarkable. It is about the inner guru. Yeah, Krishnamurti was all about, I'm not a teacher, which is really funny for somebody who taught day and night for, I know, 60 years. But it's true. It's true. It's always to point back to that, to the isness inside. Muji does the same thing. Even though he gets a lot of adoration, he's always pointing people back to that, to this place that you yourself know. So the other son says, hey, GP, since awakening and realizing that identity and separation are illusion, my social interactions have gotten stranger. Feel like it's harder to meet new people. Is there anything I can do? It's like my social identity died and I feel like a ghost when I talk to people. Help. It may be awkward for a while. If this has been going on for a long time, in which case, I need to get you in a class so I can interact with you more directly. But just be however you feel, right? I think what's happened is you become aware of the illusion of this separate self, and now you're kind of judging all of your behavior. Your behavior wasn't the separate self. It was an image of that behavior. It was an image that got projected on. The behavior is real. It's you. You just be yourself. Say what you say. Do what you do. You're attracted to whoever you're attracted to. It will change. because the things you're interested in and the kind of people you're interested in, the kind of conversations you're interested in are going to be different. But you can also look for different places to meet people that are going to be a little bit more aligned with how you think and feel and that sort of thing. Um, and, and and when it comes to just regular interactions, I'm just the guy shopping at the grocery store when I go to Fred Meyer or Whole Foods to buy something. Right? I'm it's the guy there talking, let me have my almond latte, will you? Extra hot. Very simple. Very simple. Yeah. Um, yeah. So I think what you're doing is you're thinking that somehow you're supposed to be different. No, no, no. You're not. You're the same. It's only you no longer see yourself as stuck there. So just whatever your natural inclinations are, the kind of jokes you tell, just be what you've always been, except realize you're not stuck there. It's not who you are. It's just how you happen to be behaving in that particular moment. That will liberate. That will take away the I think the overhead that might be suffering from, because you're not a ghost. Right? All the characteristics of personality. This is a big mistake people make in spiritual awakening. They think somehow that I'm supposed to become this, sage-like character, this saintly like character. It's simply not true. Many awakened people are absolutely the same. Smoke, drink. I mean, Nisargadatta never gave up smoking. Even had a business. That's how his family made a living. He made beaties, these little cigarettes that he sold on the street. And other people, they still. I mean, so don't make you don't turn it into somehow you've got to get a new set of behaviors. New behaviors will just happen. Hymek says, by goal, I mean something career oriented. I'm only 20 years old as of now. Happy, but this enjoyment is only limited to having great physical relations with beautiful women. And the problem is, and a healthy social circle in general. But this lack of a goal stems from the fact that I just can't figure out what to do with my life. In your opinion, is a power oriented career where you dominate over other people and generally enjoy lots of political power, better or worse, when a more monetary, worse than a more monetary oriented career? What path generally leads to more dominance? Thanks for the advice. Though pronoun I Aryan, pronounced Iarian? Oh, Aryan. Okay. Um, I never tell anybody what to do. What I ask is, what do you like? Follow your own desires. When I read what you talk here, should I do something, um, my opinion, a power-oriented career? Well, what's a power-oriented career to you, and does it have any draw to you? Are you drawn to it? Do you think that would be cool or interesting? At 20 years old, don't think you have to know, right? I can't tell you how many different jobs I've had over my life. Right? You don't have to know, right? You only have to have an idea right now. What interests you, right? Beyond having great sex with beautiful women and hanging out with your social circle, right? Yeah, you're at an age where you got to start thinking, well, what am I actually going to do? What am I going to do with this life? It's a great question to ask. What am I going to do with this life? And I would just say, well, what do I want to do with this life? I mean, nobody's making you do anything. Nobody's going to force you down a path. And life has got, the fact that you're sitting here in satsang says that life has got some pretty cool things in store for you, right? So what do you like? That would be my first question. And start simple, kind of things you like to read, the movies you kind of watch. What gets your attention? What do you want to do just for the sake of doing it? And follow that. See where it goes. Especially when you have, time to do it. Right? This isn't this isn't like, oh, this is what I need to do. Purpose doesn't exist like that. It becomes a matter of getting to know yourself. When you are when you know yourself, you know what you want, right? So get to know yourself. And what by get to know yourself, I don't mean the ultimate emptiness. I mean, get to know what you like, what you care about, what interests you, what floats your boat. And you will find that at the end of that, you're going to, you're simply going to know things are just going to happen. Happiness, not dominance. Yes, happiness. Yeah. Go with the happiness. Follow the happiness, but follow the happiness inward. Don't follow it outward. Most people try to follow it outward to recreate circumstances that were pleasurable and enjoyable. That will lead to disappointment and disillusionment forever. Follow the happiness inward, and you will find it very, very readily. Not to worry, my friend. Jasper Yang says, "You're a mind-blowing poet. Thanks for sharing great insights." Well, thank you, Jasper. It's very beautiful of you to say. Okay. Wow. 2:27, 2:30. Well, 4 or 5:30 out in the East Coast and all over the world. Anyway. All right, everybody. I think I'm going to call it for today. Oh, so wonderful to be here with you. I was a little bit confused the time difference. Oh yeah, I got to do satsang at 4 today. I went, whoa. It's like, oh, that's right. I'm 3 hours earlier. So Puppy New says, just when I think I've heard everything you have to say, you throw something new in the mix. It's very upsetting and a wonderful way to be upset. Yes, very, very good. Hopefully I will always come up with things you don't expect, because it's because if it's what you expect, your mind will tune it out. Right. And we don't want, we have to keep this a moving target, so you keep your attention engaged until you get all the way back home. Himek says, thanks for the advice, sir. Hope you have a great day. Thank you, sir. Brian in Virginia, quite a few moments today, sir. Thank you. You're very welcome. Buddhist Brain, thank you. You're awesome. And all right, everybody. Thanks. Everybody saying thank you. Wonderful, 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 wonderful. Thank you all. Please like and share it. That's how it grows. And again, I invite you, patreon.com/GP Walsh, if you find a way to help support this. It really does help. My mission is to spend no time with anything other than making more content and videos for you guys, and even have a scholarship fund so I can give even more away. So thank you all. I love you, and namaste.